On our wedding anniversary, Jian Shuyang forced me pregnant to accompany his female student to play high-altitude thrill rides. She intimately held my husband's arm, sweetly whining, "Shuyang-ji, I want to ride the roller coaster, but I'm scared alone." Jian Shuyang, unwilling to expose his fear of heights, pushed me forward. "Let her go with you." I trembled, protecting my 6-month pregnant belly, resolutely refusing. He scolded me. "You've been a flight attendant for so many years. Still scared of this? What are you pretending for?" Forced onto the ride, I finally understood that my marriage was a joke from beginning to end. But when I truly left his world, he went crazy. Just off the ride, Isabella pushed me to the ground and nestled into my husband's arms. "So fun. Shuyang-ji, can you have Sophia Jia accompany me for another ride?" The aftershock of the fright made my legs weak, and I could only sit blankly on the ground, watching the two exchange meaningful glances. Just as I was about to struggle to get up, I felt a gush of liquid between my legs. The pungent smell of rust entered my nostrils, and I couldn't help but gag. Isabella, who had wanted to give me a provocative look, accidentally glanced at my blood-stained lower body. She exclaimed in alarm, "Ah, Sophia Jia is hemorrhaging." Nathan's face paled. He pushed Isabella away and knelt in front of me, trembling as he held my hand. "I'll call an ambulance right away. Don't be afraid, I'm here." The usually composed him was now yelling at Isabella to call an ambulance, the panic in his eyes overflowing. Seeing her trembling and unable to dial the emergency number, Nathan snatched the phone, only to hear the voice on the other end. "Hello, this is 10,086 China Mobile." A second of frozen silence filled the air. Enduring the severe abdominal pain, I hoarsely roared, "Isabella, are you deliberately trying to harm my child?" Hearing the argument, more and more people gathered around, some even secretly filming with their phones. Isabella's little face turned white and red, her apricot eyes filled with tears, constantly twisting the corner of her clothes with her fingers. "Sophia Jia, I'm just a little afraid of blood. The more anxious I am, the more mistakes I make." Seeing her pitiful appearance, Nathan's anger immediately subsided, and he comforted her. "Don't cry, it's just your sister-in-law is too delicate. It's still not too late for me to call an ambulance." The word delicate was like a sharp blade piercing my heart, the pain even worse than my lower body. Before, when I had a small cold, Nathan would stay by my bedside day and night. Now, because of a female student he'd known for less than a year, he was indifferent to our child. A bitter feeling welled up in my heart, a sob caught in my throat, making it hard to breathe. Isabella's performance delayed a lot of time. By the time I was sent to the hospital 2 kilometers from the amusement park, 40 minutes had passed. After I was pushed into the operating room, Nathan was uneasy, constantly asking the doctor about the surgery's progress. "Shuyang-ji, it's all my fault if something happens to the baby." Isabella covered her face and wept. I can't live anymore either." She cried pearly tears, leaning weakly onto Nathan's shoulder. "Don't say silly things, that's just a piece of unformed flesh. How can it compare to you? Shuyang-ji, you're the only one in this world who cares about me." I lay on the cold operating table, tears blurring my vision. My lower body was numbed with anesthesia, but the pain remained in my heart. So the baby that I regarded as the crystallization of my love with him was just an insignificant piece of flesh in his eyes. Soon after, the doctor came out and called out, "Where are Sophia's family members?" Nathan stood up abruptly, staring in disbelief at the human-like stillborn in the box. His face was pale, and he was stunned. After regaining his senses, he rushed to my bedside. Seeing that my eyes were red, he looked at me with pity and gently stroked my face. "Sophia, don't cry, it breaks my heart. We can have children in the future." I didn't say anything. His gentle expression made me feel a sense of unfamiliarity for the first time. Even though he was so close, I couldn't see through his heart. "Sophia, today is our anniversary. I booked your favorite Western restaurant for tonight." He took my hand and kissed it repeatedly. "Forgive me, okay?" In a daze, the hymn in front of me overlapped with the hymn from my youth. My heart twinged, and I nodded subconsciously. "Look at that man, so handsome and gentle. Look at you." A pregnant woman passing by, seeing Nathan's actions, pinched her husband hard. A wave of bitterness washed over me, a mix of feelings. For 8 years of marriage, Nathan had always been seen as the model husband by his colleagues at the airline. Everyone said I had struck gold. Only I knew that, besides myself, everything had quietly changed. Sophia, Isabella's friend, canceled on her. Can we bring her along to dinner? Nathan's words pulled me back to reality. Although it sounded like a question, his tone was an unquestionable assertion. He always said we should have children later, so we could enjoy our time together more. But now, on our anniversary, he was indulging in the unrestrained intrusion of a third party. I didn't answer for a long time, just staring quietly at Nathan. A hint of panic flashed in his eyes, and he hurriedly explained. I only treat Isabella like a younger sister. It's not easy for a young girl to make it in the capital. I forced a smile and interrupted him. Sure, let's all go together. He breathed a sigh of relief and kissed my forehead. Sophia, you're still so considerate. Considerate? I was just tired, and didn't want to argue anymore. In the evening, we arrived at the restaurant. The table was decorated with candles and roses, full of romantic atmosphere. This place is so beautiful. Brother Shuyang has such good taste. It's my first time coming to such a high-end restaurant. Isabella exclaimed, taking the seat across from Nathan before I could. Oh, how come there are only 2 seats? She feigned surprise, but had no intention of getting up to make room. I stood beside them, and could only smile awkwardly as I moved a chair from the next table to sit down. It was as if I was the one intruding on someone else's candlelit dinner. As soon as the 2 steaks were served, Nathan handed one to Isabella and turned to me. Isabella hasn't tried these before, and besides, you're tired of them. I ordered you some plain porridge. His tone was calm, as if this was an insignificant matter. I struggled to hold back the stinging in my nose, and my voice trembled slightly. What if I said, I insist on having this steak? His eyebrows furrowed, and he said while cutting the steak for Isabella. Why are you acting like a child? It's not like you haven't eaten it before. And you just had a miscarriage. Eating something light will be good for you. My heart ached as if it was being squeezed, and I stood up to leave. Unexpectedly, I snagged the tablecloth, knocking over the candle on the table. Isabella didn't have time to dodge, and her scream echoed through the restaurant. It's hot. Sophia, are you serious? Before I could react, Nathan bumped into me, making me stumble, and knelt down in front of Isabella to tend to her burn, subconsciously protecting my now flat abdomen. I staggered to regain my balance, meeting his angry gaze. I really misjudged you. I didn't expect you to be so cruel. You're a flight attendant yourself. Don't you know how serious a scar can be for Isabella? The constant reprimands from him sent a chill through my entire body. Cold sweat seeped into my palms, and the words of explanation caught in my throat. I didn't. Just as I was about to speak, Isabella's tears fell in a steady stream, as she sobbed. It's all my fault for disturbing you. I'll leave now. As soon as the words left her mouth, she ran out of the restaurant, the soybean-sized red mark on her arm flashing past me. It's so late. If anything happens to Isabella, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Nathan was furious, leaving those words behind before chasing after her. That's not it. I wanted to continue explaining, but his back quickly disappeared from my sight. That's not how it is. Why won't you listen? I suddenly tasted saltiness in my mouth, and was shocked to realize that my face was already covered in tears. Madam, are you all right? I'll help you clean up here. A waiter, seeing the color drain from my face, spoke with concern. I frantically wiped away my tears, repeatedly apologizing. I walked out of the restaurant in a daze, only to find it was pouring rain outside. The wind blew the rain sideways, soaking half of my pant legs. My knee throbbed faintly. I squatted down against the wall, silently waiting for the rain to stop. Thinking about what happened earlier, my heart ached again as if it had been crushed. I used to complain that Nathan was overprotective of me, but he would always hug me tightly with a smile, saying, "If I don't protect you, what if you leave me one day?" I remember laughing at him for thinking too much back then, declaring that I would never leave him in this lifetime. But now I regret it a little. Sophia? Why are you squatting here? A black Maybach slowly stopped in front of me, and in the car window was a familiar yet unfamiliar handsome face. It was Julian, a younger colleague from the crew. Seeing that I was still motionless, he specially got out of the car to open the door for me. "It's late, I'll take you home." The heating inside the car was very warm, and a pleasant sandalwood scent lingered around my nose. Julian had always been thoughtful, and this time was no exception, not exposing my disheveled state. He broke the silence. "How have you been considering the proposal to transfer and fly international routes with me?" Julian had asked me about it as early as 6 months ago. In the end, I couldn't bear to leave Nathan, and also found out that I was pregnant, so the matter was shelved. Now I have no reason to refuse anymore. Just then my phone vibrated. It was a message from Nathan. "Sophia, I'm sorry, I was too impulsive. It's raining heavily now, you're not strong. Find a place to wait, I'll come and pick you up later." I looked up and met Julian's earnest gaze. I gently shifted my eyes. "I want to think about it some more." Seeing me enter the apartment complex, Julian drove away. I walked upstairs and found my front door ajar. Pushing it open, I saw clothes strewn all over the living room floor. Skirts, pants, stockings, lace lingerie, scattered all the way to the master bedroom door. Muffled moans mixed with the sound of water echoed from the room. The scene glimpsed through the crack in the door was unbelievable. He wasn't just cheating. He was actually bringing someone to do it on the bed we shared every night. I felt like all the strength had been drained from my body, and I collapsed heavily onto the floor. "Nathan, aren't you afraid your wife will come back?" "Little minx, who told you to provoke me? Besides, I told her to wait outside. She'll obediently wait for me." "Shuyang-ji, be gentle. You're the one who lit the fire. See if I don't teach you a lesson." Isabella's voice, mixed with moans, poured into my ears. The lewd sounds from the room grew more intense. Covering my mouth tightly with my hand, I fought back the urge to scream and fled in panic. Hiding in the stairwell, suppressed sobs escaped my throat, a tearing pain spreading through my heart. The love I was so proud of had long been destroyed by his lies and deceit. My fingertips trembled uncontrollably, and I misdialed several times before finally getting through to Julian's number. "Sophia, I'm going with you on the international flight." We spoke almost simultaneously. "Then I'll pick you up tomorrow morning. The crew is flying to the UAE tomorrow night. I'll take care of the airline procedures for you." Julian paused, then said, "Get some rest tonight." His casual concern made the tears that I had finally managed to calm surge again. "Thank you." Hanging up, I waited numbly in the stairwell. Waited for the entwined couple to finish kissing at my doorstep. Waited for Nathan to send Isabella out of the complex. When Nathan returned home and saw me sitting in the living room, he looked flustered. "Sophia? What are you doing back?" Before I could speak, he wrapped his arms around me from behind, taking my hands to warm them. "Look how cold your hands are, go take a hot bath." As soon as he finished speaking, he scooped me up in his arms and carried me towards the bathroom without explanation. How could I have never noticed before? When he lies, he can't even look me in the eye. Was I too foolish, unable to see through his clumsy disguise? Or was I too timid, afraid to believe in his betrayal? I don't know, but it doesn't matter anymore. When I finished my bath, Nathan had already prepared hot ginger tea for me. The overflowing trash can from earlier was also empty. "Sophia, drink some ginger tea to warm your stomach." "No thanks, I've already brushed my teeth." I didn't take the cup and started packing my clothes. He looked a little flustered, but asked calmly, "Why are you suddenly packing your clothes?" "They don't fit anymore." He seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. "I have to go to work tomorrow. I'm going to bed first. You should go to bed early too." I sat alone on the floor, looking at the black lace lingerie that didn't belong to me in the closet. Disappointment had accumulated into despair. The next morning, he was already gone from the bed. There was a note on the living room table, and a bowl of still warm oatmeal porridge. "Too bad, I'm allergic to oatmeal." I took off the diamond ring I had worn for 8 years, and placed it on the table with the divorce agreement. This marriage, we owe each other nothing. As soon as I stepped outside, I saw the Maybach parked not far away. Julian was smiling and waving at me. I was about to go over. Then my phone vibrated. Isabella sent me a photo. It was a pregnancy test report. The hand inadvertently showing below the photo wore my all-too-familiar wedding ring. Seconds later, another message popped up in the chat box. I have his love and his child. I thought my heart was already numb, but facing her provocation, it still quivered for a moment. What's wrong? Seeing me standing there blankly, Julian reached out to take my luggage and helped open the car door. Nothing, just spam. After saying that, I sent a message back and blacklisted Isabella's account. The screen of the phone reflected my face, looking haggard but with a firm gaze. At the intersection outside the residential area, a black Maybach and a Didi car passed each other. In the instant the sunlight shone through the car window, I saw the man sitting in the back seat clearly. It was Nathan. In the Didi car, Nathan also happened to look out the window, and we vaguely made eye contact. Nathan, can't you take the day off to be with me and the baby? Isabella nestled in Nathan's arms, constantly coaxing him. What document is more important than me? Why do you have to go home? Ignoring her, Nathan stared intently at the Maybach that had just driven past, feeling inexplicably familiar with the woman in the passenger seat. And that license plate looked increasingly familiar, like he had seen it in the airline's parking lot. Thinking of this, his heart seemed to skip a beat. Nathan's voice was a little hoarse. Driver, could you please drive a little faster? Nathan, are you listening? Isabella was a little angry when he didn't answer for a long time. Nathan gently pinched her shoulder, saying absent-mindedly, "Be good, I'll buy you that Hermes bag you wanted as compensation." As expected, a bag can cure all ills. Isabella immediately gave him a sweet smile and planted a kiss, entwining with him for a while. As soon as the driver stopped the car, Nathan hurriedly got out and went upstairs, feeling very uneasy. Why are you rushing? Wait for me and the baby. Seeing him leaving her far behind, Isabella stamped her feet in anger. Nathan pushed open the door and entered, not bothering to get the documents, and shouted loudly, "Sophia? Are you home?" Seeing no one anywhere, the ominous premonition in his heart continued to ferment and expand. Unable to reach her with a text message, he started calling my number, but only received busy signals. Nathan collapsed weakly into a chair, his peripheral vision catching sight of something on the table. Focusing, his face turned pale in an instant, and his hands trembled as he picked up the piece of paper. How dazzling the 3-carat diamond ring had been, how blinding it was now. Like a bolt from the blue, Nathan's mind went blank, and he sat there in a daze. Nathan, honestly, what am I going to do with you? At this time, Isabella walked in breathlessly, complaining nonstop. Seeing him motionless, Isabella leaned forward to see what was on the paper. She snorted. Women, it's normal to have a tantrum. Do you think Sophia would really be willing to leave you? Hearing Isabella's words, a glimmer of hope rekindled in Nathan's eyes. Yes. How could she possibly leave me voluntarily? The smile that inadvertently flashed in Nathan's eyes stung Isabella, making her feel a little uneasy. So she sweetly clung to Nathan's arm and said, "Didn't you promise to give me and the baby a legitimate status? Why not take this opportunity to divorce her?" Before Nathan could speak, she triumphantly took out her phone and handed it to him. Look, even Sophia agrees. In the chat log, Sophia had only sent one sentence. I wish you happiness. Looking at the cold words in front of him, a string in Nathan's brain suddenly snapped. He grabbed Isabella like a madman and slammed her onto the table. I knew she wouldn't know unless you were behind it. Isabella was so shocked that she even forgot to struggle, meeting his fierce gaze in disbelief. The man's grip was strong, and as he spoke he continued to tighten it. Did I ever warn you that Sophia is my bottom line? Isabella couldn't breathe, her face gradually turning green, and she struggled to squeeze out fragmented words from her throat. The baby. Nathan suddenly came to his senses, his expression softening slightly. He released Isabella and said angrily, "Don't think you can do whatever you want just because you're carrying my child." He paused for a moment and added, as if speaking to himself, "No one can ever replace her." Isabella gasped for breath, still shaken. She had never seen such a violent side of Nathan before, and she was still trembling all over. Go home first, I have something to do. Nathan didn't even bother to look at her, and started calling family members and colleagues, asking about his wife's whereabouts. Isabella bit her lip unwillingly, enduring the tears, and repeatedly stroked her slightly bulging abdomen. After hesitating for a moment, she said, "I might know where Sophia went." "What? Nathan immediately hung up the phone and grabbed her shoulders. Isabella, tell me quickly. Let go of me, it hurts. Seeing her teary-eyed with grievance, Nathan's heart softened, and he hugged her lovingly. I'm sorry, I was too impulsive just now. I'm just too worried. After all, Sophia and I have been through thick and thin together. His words made Isabella's heart sink. Everyone in the airline knew about this, but it was the first time she heard it from his own mouth. She bit her lip and hardened her heart, saying, There's been a rumor in the airline that a crew is inviting Sophia to transfer to fly international routes. So, Isabella paused. She should be with Julian, the captain of that crew now. Hearing this name, Nathan was shocked and instantly understood. That Maybach earlier was Julian's. The airport was quiet at night. Julian and I rested briefly in the staff room, waiting for the flight crew's announcement. He handed me a cup of hot coffee. Are you feeling all right? International flights are quite busy. I'm afraid you won't be able to handle it. The rich aroma of the coffee wafted towards me, and the cup in my hands felt warm. Julian's gaze was strangely intense, making me feel uncomfortable. It's almost time, let's go. Avoiding his eyes, I pulled my suitcase and walked straight out, almost tripping over my own feet. I faintly heard a chuckle behind me, and Julian followed silently. Just then, a familiar voice echoed through the airport. Julian, did you take my wife away? Hearing this, Julian turned around. I, who was blocked in front of him, met Nathan's gaze. He seemed stunned to see me in a flight attendant uniform, but by the time he came to his senses, I had already walked through the boarding gate. Sophia, let me explain. Nathan was stopped outside by the staff, shouting like a madman. I'm also with Xiaodong Airlines, haven't you seen me before? Feeling surprisingly calm, I didn't look back, letting him call my name from behind. We're over. Airport police quickly arrived, sternly warning. Sir, no matter who you are, if you don't leave, you'll be disturbing public order. Nathan was about to retort when Isabella, who had been silent for a long time, grabbed him. Nathan, forget it. You're still the airline's promotional spokesperson. It'll look bad. Nathan suddenly felt like he was losing control. His face flushed with embarrassment, so he had no choice but to leave, muttering curses under his breath. The farce finally ended, and the passengers waiting to board all looked over, whispering among themselves. What kind of late, worthless declaration of love is this? So melodramatic. The woman looks like she'd be a third party. The guy's so full of himself. If I were him, I wouldn't dare to bother her. Hearing the roadside chatter, their faces turned red and then white, and they unconsciously quickened their pace. Through the glass, I saw him running away, with Isabella clinging to him like glue, which made me laugh. Just then, a former colleague rushed over. Sophia, the department head is looking for you. Okay, I'll go right now. Looking at my watch, it was almost time for takeoff. I kept wondering what he wanted to see me about, and hurried towards the office. Seeing me enter, the department head looked serious, sitting upright and saying, Xiaohe, someone has anonymously reported that you were significantly negligent in the incident 5 years ago. My throat tightened, and I forced myself to remain calm. What are the specific details? That event, I had always kept buried deep in my heart. Rehashing old news, it's already been 5 years. The department head was silent for a moment, then continued. It said your emergency handling 5 years ago wasn't adequate. Pay more attention in the future. In a daze, countless memories flooded my mind. 5 years ago, Nathan and I were still working on the same crew. Our colleagues used to joke that we were the crew's Siamese twin partners, inseparable. It was our first wedding anniversary, and Nathan and I were flying together as usual. The weather conditions were terrible at the time, with thunder and lightning. Outside the window, it was pitch black, as if we had entered hell. The plane was bumping constantly, and the emergency rescue system was automatically activated. The cabin was in chaos, filled with the cries of children. I comforted the passengers while repeatedly demonstrating how to use the life-saving equipment. Nathan, thinking he was experienced, didn't listen to instructions and flew straight, but instead chose to turn to avoid the turbulence. Unexpectedly, he encountered even stronger turbulence, and the entire plane shook violently as if caught in a cyclone. I sat back in the flight attendant's seat, the seatbelt tightly fastening my body, causing a stinging pain. The little girl in front of me, clearly trembling with fear herself, reached out to wipe away her mother's tears. "Don't be afraid, Mommy, I'll protect you." I will never forget her clear eyes. Fortunately, the co-pilot at the time reminded him and standardized the operation in time, and the plane finally landed safely with no casualties. But Nathan has since suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder, and a fear of heights forced him to leave the frontline position. Considering Nathan's past achievements, the airline made an exception and allowed him to become an airline trainer. As the years passed, I silently accompanied Nathan in treating his psychological illness. Over the years, he woke up from nightmares every night, and I patiently comforted him. He always said that taking medicine was useless, and that I was his best medicine. But now, Xiaohe, are you listening? The department head's words pulled me back to reality. Steadying my trembling voice, I took a deep breath. Okay, I'll pay attention. The flight to the UAE is almost time to board. I'll go first. He sighed. Go back to your post, I'll figure out a way to deal with it. I gave him a grateful look. When I returned to the plane, boarding had just begun. I heard the department head was looking for you. Is everything okay? Julian had a bright, professional smile on his face, constantly glancing at me out of the corner of his eye. Of course, I'm a senior member. He couldn't help but laugh. We clearly only joined the company 1 year apart. While the passengers hadn't boarded yet, he secretly slipped me a piece of candy. Please take care of me this time too, senior. Julian raised his voice, emphasizing the last two words in particular. My ears were faintly burning, and I glared at him. But he stared straight back. As a result, my cheeks also began to burn, and I had to look away. How did I not notice how mischievous he was before? After a 17-hour flight, the moment I got off the plane, the ache in my back and waist immediately hit me. There were few travelers in the airport at this early hour. Just as I was about to go to the hotel to rest, Nathan's supersized face suddenly appeared before my eyes. I froze on the spot. A video was playing on the airport's large screen, with subtitles in both Chinese and English. Sophia, I'm telling you under the witness of the whole world, I love you. In the video, Nathan was holding a large bouquet of red roses, with the diamond ring I had returned to him in his hand. It's all my fault. I'll change everything you said. If you can forgive me, I'm willing to do anything. I miss you. Come home, okay? As he spoke, he choked up a little, his eyes slightly red, almost begging. Sophia, I can't live without you. That handsome face paired with his affectionate eyes in the past would definitely have moved me to tears. But now I only think his acting is good. After all, a man's vows, he can say them even to a dog. At this moment, I heard two women behind me talking in English. Chinese men are so devoted. So romantic. That woman is so lucky. Yeah, it's hard to find such a devoted good man. It seems Nathan's acting has also received international recognition. I snorted coldly, dragged my suitcase and turned to leave, but ran into Julian standing not far away. He stood tall and straight, his white shirt outlining his lean waist. What a coincidence. Want to grab a drink? He came at the right time. There were too many flaws in Nathan's video. I had to vent tonight. We drank and chatted freely, even forgetting the time. I kept talking and he kept listening. In the end, Julian's eyes were full of drunken intent, containing a hint of elusive emotion. The lights were dim. He leaned closer. I could almost feel the intertwined heat between us. Sophia, actually I. Suddenly a loud noise interrupted him. An uninvited guest broke into the bar. The person barged in, knocking over the champagne tower decorating the entrance, sending alcohol and glass shards flying. After staring at the person's face for 5 seconds, I realized it was Nathan. His hair was messy, his chin was stubbly, he was so haggard that I almost didn't recognize him. His gaze finally locked onto me, and he strode straight towards me. Sophia, I really regret it. Come home with me? He knelt before my knees, pious and affectionate. I dodged his touch without batting an eye, and said coldly, we are already divorced. Mr. Nathan, please have some self-respect. I picked up my bag and got up to leave, but Nathan reacted even faster, grabbing me and refusing to let go. Just as I was about to forcefully shake him off, I heard a sudden burst of wailing in my ear, and he released me. Didn't you hear what Sophia said? Looking up, Julian's eyes were blazing with anger, the hand gripping Nathan's wrist bone increasing its pressure. What happens between my husband and me has nothing to do with you. Nathan was furious and tried to strike him with his other elbow, but Julian easily dodged it. His clumsy punches and kicks were like a clown's performance. If you keep this up, I'm calling the police. Julian was agile and skillfully restrained Nathan, pinning his arms behind him on the bar. His face pressed against the table. The cold touch of the marble gave him a shiver. When I met his gaze, hope rekindled in Nathan's eyes. Sophia, please don't be angry, okay? Can you bear to see your husband lose face abroad? I chuckled, stepped forward, and tugged at Julian's sleeve, signaling him to let go. Julian looked puzzled, but obediently complied, taking a big step back. Sophia, you still care about your husband? Nathan, rubbing his still aching arms, tried to approach me, talking to himself. I smiled brightly, distanced myself from him, and hooked my arm around Julian's muscular one. Sorry, I'm single now. Our intimate gesture deeply hurt Nathan, and Julian's suggestive gaze fueled his jealousy. He was unwilling to accept it, but due to Julian's skills, he had no choice but to silently follow us to the airport. The gaze behind us made me uncomfortable. I apologized. I'm really sorry to trouble you, using you as a shield this time. I'll treat you to a fancy dinner next time. Julian seemed to be in a great mood, reaching out to tuck a stray strand of hair behind my ear. My pleasure. Knowing he was deliberately acting, I couldn't shake the feeling of shyness, and we remained silent for the rest of the way. The bar was in the airport's rest area. Just as we were about to enter security, Isabella appeared in front of me, blocking the way. Feeling disgusted, I couldn't help but roll my eyes. Was this ever going to end? These two were like leeches. How were they so persistent? I really don't know what charm you have, hooking a new lover and still having your old love revolve around you. Isabella gritted her teeth, her gaze so fierce that it seemed she wanted to tear me to pieces. Seeing that she was about to pounce on me, Nathan stepped forward and shielded me. Isabella, haven't I warned you not to appear in front of her again? His tone was cold, devoid of any emotion. Why, Sophia? Just because she met you earlier than me? Isabella cried out in despair, starting to speak recklessly. Over the past year, you've slept with me more times than you've eaten meals with her. What kind of deep affection are you pretending to have now? Shut up. Nathan was enraged and, with a swift motion, heavily slapped Isabella. The crisp sound echoed throughout the airport, attracting attention. With a man's strength, the thin Isabella was slapped to the ground, covering her face in disbelief. Xuyang, I'm pregnant with your child, how could you? Nathan shook his hand as if he had touched something dirty, his eyes filled with disgust. You're not worthy. Isabella kept sobbing, hoping to arouse the man's pity. Suddenly, fresh blood gushed out, slowly flowing down Isabella's leg. Her pupils contracted, and she immediately panicked. Save my child. Helpless, she crawled towards me, desperately grabbing my leg. Sophia, it's all your fault that my child is gone. The scene of the miscarriage replayed, and I felt a chill, pushing her away with force. Now do you know how much pain I was in back then? I looked down at her, arms crossed with cold eyes. This is what you brought on yourself. Her face was a mess of tears and snot, utterly pathetic. Nathan seemed disgusted by her, not even bothering to look. Just then, a large group of elderly Chinese tourists on a tour passed by. Seeing the scene, they stopped to watch. Isn't that man the husband involved in the miscarriage at the amusement park a while ago? You know, I think you're right. What amusement park? What's this about? It's all over the internet. A Jianan cheated. Jianan is a derogatory term for a cheating, scummy man. Oh dear, I saw blood on that girl. Could she have had a miscarriage? The old men and women chattered, each pulling out their phones. Some were searching, others taking photos secretly. Seeing this, Julian draped his coat over my shoulders, shielding me from the cameras. His scent enveloped me, and his warm hand took mine. Sophia, let's go. Staying here any longer will be bad for the airline's reputation. Seeing that Julian and I were about to leave, Isabella panicked and, recklessly, yelled. Everyone, come and look. This flight attendant was in charge of the Summer-Winter Airlines flight that had an accident 5 years ago. Hey, what's going on? Was that operational error 5 years ago caused by this flight attendant? No way, is someone bringing up an old case? It feels like there's more to the story. More and more people gathered, blocking the way completely. Some excited tourists pushed each other, almost knocking me over. Luckily, Julian was quick and pulled me into his arms. Make that flight attendant come out and respond. As I was considering how to respond, Nathan stepped forward without hesitation. Don't talk nonsense, it has nothing to do with her. I was responsible for that accident. I was the captain at the time. Isn't he the Summer-Winter Airlines spokesperson? Didn't the publicity say he heroically saved the day back then? Maybe the company is just trying to protect him. Isabella never expected Nathan to do this much for me. The direction of the situation completely reversed. The crowd's insults were all directed at Nathan. Some even rushed forward and punched and kicked him. She was furious, her face contorted, and she fainted. After receiving a report, the airport police quickly arrived at the scene and took Nathan away for questioning. His hands were bound, and as he brushed past me, his face bruised and swollen, he still managed to give me an adoring smile. Later, the unconscious Isabella was also taken away by ambulance. Unfortunately, her child was definitely lost. After dispersing the unrelated people, Julian and I got into a Didi ride-hailing service, exhausted both physically and mentally. I scrolled through my phone. The top 3 trending searches were all about Nathan. Sinner turned hero? Summer-Winter Airlines captain exposed as the cause of the accident 5 years ago. Handsome captain turns out to be a cheating scumbag. Hearing me read aloud each headline, Julian couldn't help but chuckle. These self-media are really good at creating titles. He paused, then changed the subject. After you finish flying to France tomorrow, should we go have a candlelight dinner? I burst out laughing. Still thinking about your acting fee? Julian cleared his throat and said seriously, of course not. His eyes burned as he stared at me intently. This is a date invitation for the purpose of pursuing you. His eyes were filled with endless laughter, and as if bewitched, I immediately nodded. The next morning, I woke up to find that the work group had already posted the disciplinary actions for Nathan and Isabella. Nathan was fired and burdened with huge penalties for breaching his contract as a spokesperson. Isabella also lost her chance at a full-time position. Both of their reputations plummeted, and they were subjected to widespread online abuse. After getting ready and going downstairs to work, I saw Julian waiting for me. He smiled brightly, his eyes as bright as if they had been dipped in fire. Good morning. Let's take care of each other today too.